Hey, what's up guys? Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we're just going to do a quick update video or overview video of the plasma table. I'm going to talk about the cost, talk about its performance, things that I want to improve, and then kind of the way forward, what we're going to do to upgrade this, update it, all that other kind of stuff. All right, so stick around guys. I won't lie, this table was kind of a long process. It was a pretty long project involving lots of research, but I'm pretty satisfied with the end results. So let's go over some specs on the table, and then we'll start talking about some details about what I used to make it and then what the cost costs. So the plasma table's got two main sections to it. We've got over here the table itself with the cutting surface, and then we have what I call my control station over here on the left. So this control station is home to the desktop computer that I'm using, and it's also home to the power plasma down there, and it's also home to all of the electronic wiring, which is all up in there. This table has a 4 foot by 4 foot working area. The actual table dimensions are about 5 feet between each of the corners, where you can see my little side supports. But it is designed to be a water table to help cool any of the workpieces as we go. I will be adding water to it here pretty shortly. I just don't have it in there yet. I'm running a direct drive using a 405 ounce NEMA 23 motor and a 3/8 inch gear on a 3/8 inch gear rack that you can pick up at MasterCar, as you can see right there. All right. The gear from these fits on the end of the motors and then runs right along the rack there. I'm doing that for both the X and the Y axis, as you can see here. For the Z axis, I'm running a eBay special floating switch Z axis that I picked up for $250 and a matching 130 ounce NEMA 23 motor as well. To control wiring along the axes, I'm using just some cheap track that you can buy on Amazon. I've got a little bit up there, and then this side has it as well. Some parts of the wiring do run through the scantry, as you can see, and all of the motors are plugged with a standard 6-wire waterproof DINS connector. There, and there. And then the floating head switch is free. For wiring, we're using just a standard 6-wire wire. It's shielded and coated the whole way through. That wire was picked up from Hobby CNC along with most of these parts. All right, for the electronics, we're running a Hobby CNC Pro Chopper Rev 2 4-axis control board, which is back there behind that host of wiring. We've got a generic eBay power supply, and we're running a Proma 150 compact THC. The computer that runs all these electronics is just a refurbished old Dell laptop I got on eBay for 80 bucks. It came with the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, and everything like that. That laptop works perfectly. It has a parallel port on the back of it, and it was cheap enough. It was perfect for this use. I am running a Linux OS, and I'm running Linux CNC version 2.8 on a Debian stretch kernel, if you're really curious about it. My wiring for the table comes through the back of the table, down, and then into a little hole here, and then goes in there to plug into the board. I've got a large start-stop switch, which controls the board itself here. Air inlet for the power plasma, which runs through a dryer, a filter, and then a regulator before it gets pushed through down to the power plasma itself. And for the power supply, I'm running an Everlast Power Plasma 60S with the CNC hookup in the back. I am running an Everlast machine torch. This is completely optional. You don't need this. I just wanted to have it. And then I have also the hand torch. I've got the hand torch over here in the event that I ever want or need to use the power plasma cutter by hand, which I've had to do a few times already. So the plasma cutter runs on 220 volt power, which I have one outlet for in the garage, and I'm running it off of my Cobalt 60-gallon air compressor. The only downside to this setup is I only have one 220 volt outlet in the garage. I do plan on adding 2 more 220 volt outlets over here on this side to run this table itself. The table and all the electronics on it runs off of 115 volts, so that's easy enough to just plug right into the wall behind it. let's talk cost. So for the power source, I went with the Everlast Power Plasma 60S. I got this on Black Friday for I think $800 shipped. It has a CNC port on the back, and so it's already pre-plugged to wire up into a CNC machine very easily. So you don't have to cut into the side of it. You don't have to do any tapping or wiring into the torch, none of that kind of weird stuff. I went with this. Everlast had really good reviews from what I was reading. And so far, I'll be honest, I'm actually pretty impressed with it. It's a very strong plasma cutter. It works well. Consumables for it are cheap. They last a fair enough long enough time that I don't feel bad about them. And they're cheap and readily available. Now, to tie along with the Power Plasma, I did also spend a couple $100 extra and I bought a secondary machine torch for it. That way the table itself has its own torch that I don't ever have to pull off or replace, and then I can plug in a hand torch into the Power Plasma and use the cutter by hand if necessary, which I've had to do for a few different things. Overall cost is about $2,300 so far on the actual table. That includes all the electronics, all the steel, everything like that. So for the physical steel build of the table was about $800. And the reason for that was, one, it's a lot of steel and I didn't design it very well. I'm using like 2x6 on the sides to make those big side rails that the water table sits in. Like, being honest, I could have used angle iron or something else in there that would have done the job just as well, but would have probably cost a little less. That 2x6 was expensive. The 2x2 I think was the right call. That's the right strength and sturdiness that I wanted for the table. The big question I know people are going to ask is, would I recommend building your own machine, or just recommend buying a production level machine? And that really is going to be up to each individual person. So for me, it was better for me to save money and build this machine and learn and get the understanding of it. And it was a fun project, and I got to get a lot of, into some things that I hadn't really thought about in a really long time. And so that to me was entertaining, was worth the time. If you were looking to go right out the box, turnkey, straight into production level work, or if you just don't want to deal with the months of research and design and then the months it'll take to put it together, then you should probably just fork over the extra money and buy a production level table. So that's my thoughts on that. And like I said, that really is going to be a decision that you're going to have to make of what you want to do. Like I said, I really enjoyed this project. It was a lot of fun, but it was also a lot of work, and it does not have the same quality as a production level machine. That's just the reality. All right, well, that's it for today, guys. Like I said, I just wanted to do a quick overview of the table, kind of talk about the process, and then kind of talk about my thoughts on whether you should build or buy your own table, and then also kind of cover some of the specs on it. I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions. Feel free to drop those in the comments. I'll answer as many of them as I can about specifics of it, and then if necessary, I'll shoot another video where I cover even more specifics on this. Also, I do plan on shooting some upgrade videos as I do upgrade small things through the table, just to improve my performance while I've got it in the garage here. All right, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you like videos like this. I'm gonna keep trying to make some small stuff on the plasma table, but now we're gonna get back to the Jeepster, and we're gonna try to get this Jeep up and running finally after about 1.5 years. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care.